Do you know how to identify a company that thinks they understand their customer from one that actually does? Or actually, more importantly, do you know if your company falls into the former or latter category? Well, let me show you my secret first principles for ensuring that you become a company that truly understands your customer, deep down at their core. And really beyond that, this method actually changes your entire team's mindset to operate each day from a consumer-centric approach, ensuring that every decision you make is executed with a holistic customer perspective. Does that sound pretty good? All right, let's jump right in. Hello and welcome to this channel all about building products that matter and developing high-performing product cultures. My name is Jason Carver and I want to get you onto the pragmatic path to explosive growth. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so that you know when my next cheat code drops. And speaking of product excellence, I believe that it always has the strongest foundation when it's built around a human-centric core, which is what all this video is all about. So now normally I would cover this topic in a 3-hour hands-on seminar, but today we'll focus on just one of the primary takeaways and get it done in under 15 minutes. Now everyone talks about being a customer-centric company. Everybody has it in their bylaws, if you will. Yet in my experience, I found that most people find it pretty easy to think in terms of solutions and yet difficult to think in terms of human impact, which often results in a product that frankly struggles in the marketplace because, well, they're not customer-centric. To that end, I created a simple mental model to codify what it means to have an empathetic approach to products and businesses in general. I call it the fishbowl ecosystem. It's an acronym that represents 8 different dimensions that help capture 360-degree thinking to devise a well-rounded strategy and culture. Now, the 8 dimensions are fans, investors, sidekicks, heroes, buyers, Olympians, wizards, and leaders. Now, if you approach product excellence with these 8 dimensions in mind, then, well, you're well on your way to finding success. Since we only have a few minutes today, we're going to focus on just the 3 consumer-centric dimensions of the fishbowl. These dimensions are what would serve as the centerpiece of your strategy board. Now, the first dimension is the hero dimension, which is the protagonist of our business story. The hero is driven by gut decisions, emotions, and really their core values. The Greeks had a word for this, they called it pathos. And this is best served by allowing us to focus on the transformation that they want to achieve. Now here we're going to go way beyond the jobs to be done style investigations, because what we need to think of, what we really need to focus on is understanding the destination that they desire and the satisfaction that will come from getting to the other side of that rainbow once they've completed their transformation. Now, secondly, we need to focus on the buyer as the second dimension of the consumer. This dimension represents logic-centered aspects of the consumer and is really followed with reasoning and logic. Now, this is because they're evaluating based on trust. And what really falls in between what the Greeks would label logos and ethos, because trust factors span both of those. When you optimize for the buyer, your aim is to assist them in justifying their investment. Yes, of course, and their money is their primary investment, but you need to think way beyond that. You need to think in terms of total cost of ownership, because they'll be evaluating it from time, money, energy, every investment, anything that they have to put forth to make your product successful. Now, the third dimension is the fan. Now, the fan is moved by a meaningful experience, an experience that's memorable, a good story that they can share with others. Now, to illustrate what this looks like, you have to look at the hotel chain DoubleTree. Now, I don't know if this is still their practice, but it used to be upon check-in, they provided you with a freshly made cookie. Now, the fan experience that they wanted to create for you was the experience of feeling like you're at home. Now, I've talked with so many people that bring this story up when I ask them what their favorite hotel is, or I even get this story told to me secondhand. People have never been to DoubleTree themselves, but they relay it because the story is so memorable to them from hearing it from somebody else. So this is the power of the fan, of really brand power and true fandom. Okay, so these are the dimensions that establish you and your business as more than just a faceless product or service, leading to unlocking the viral effects that you're looking for. Okay, now let's pause here. With that overview in place, let me give you an example of how this works. Let's use an example of being someone who is building a B2B sales acceleration product. In this case, can you identify what job titles that you would find for each of those three dimensions of the hero, the buyer, and the fan? Of course you could, but for the sake of time, let's see what we can come up with and we'll just rattle through it, all right? So let's start with an early but established startup. In this environment, it's not uncommon for there to be a VP of sales is operating as a player manager. And in that way, they're ultimately responsible for driving revenue both as a key closer, but also as a manager of the SDRs and BDRs, which makes them the hero of our story. Because increasing revenue is really the transformation that they seek. They want to also really make it easy to close deals so that they can scale the organization and really wear that VP hat and get out of that front end closer or that frontline closer role there. So really two dimensions that they're trying to get on their transformation. Now, question for you, are they the sole buyer here? That's where it gets a little tricky. You see, if they have budget, control, and autonomy to deliver the results, then they may be the sole buyer. In this case, then all you have to do is build trust with them so that they can justify the purchase decision on top of supporting them as the hero of the story by showing them that you will support their transformation and lead to achieving their revenue targets and getting out of the closer role. However, if the CEO has not yet bestowed P&L responsibility on that VP, then you'll need to also get the support of the CEO, right? They have to approve this purchase. This means that you need to enable the VP to be the champion for you, to provide them with tools to establish trust with the CEO, often when no one from your team is even in the room. Now, since you don't know which case you're going to encounter, you really need to account for the hero, as we talked about, and the two buyer personas. In fact, let's say your corporate sales team has been out having conversations with other folks and they've identified a third scenario. One where there's no VP in place, but the CEO themselves is acting as the sales leader. Now, this is not uncommon in those early days, especially during those founder-led sales phases of the startup, which means that we now have to account for two heroes and two buyers really to be able to support through this journey. Now, pausing here for a moment, why does any of this matter? Well, in short, we now have very specific scenarios that we can use with our entire team in complete business to discuss exactly how we can make a human impact for our customers. To start with, we have first level of our hero story where Steve is the founder of sales, is looking for two transformational outcomes, right? As a CEO, the founder, the first outcome is to accelerate revenue acquisition, and the second transformation is to be able to successfully grow the organization to be able to hire Sally as a sales leader. Now, once Sally starts her tenure, she's beginning in that sole goal of driving revenue and represents that second level of our hero journey. Here, Steve is still heavily shaping decisions of the sales arena, not yet giving P&L responsibility to Sally. So he really wants to make sure that Sally is going to be successful. Yet as Sally gets more success, she's then given that autonomy to wear the blue belt in our hero story, the level 3, because she has now become the primary buyer of our sales acceleration product. Now, let me pause here once again. How does that story help drive decisions in your product organization? More specifically, how does it help drive autonomy within the organization? Well, let's look at what this does for our marketing team. Here, your product marketing efforts are armed with lots of day-in-the-life information about your audience. Even without a fully mapped buyer and hero journeys, which I highly suggest you do, they have been provided with enough information to successfully build a marketing content plan to begin to support these 3 levels of the hero story. Now, your sales team is equally supplied with very useful information. Moving forward with every customer conversation that they enter, they can ask diagnostic questions to understand which of the 3 levels represent the current state of the hero story and directly address the needs of that situation. Now, for example, if they are not going to try to circumvent a VP if they recognize that that VP has purchase authority. On the other hand, if they can't find a sales leader in the organization as they're looking through LinkedIn profiles, then it's likely still a case where the CEO is doing founder-led sales and they'll know the exact playbook to use to serve them. We can also continue all the way through these departments that this helps, right? Product management knows what features they need to create to build trust with buyers. They also know what type of hero features that they need to put in to be able to support the overall transformation. The support team will know how to support their clients along the transformational journeys from white belt to black belt as they move up those hero levels. And the engineering team will understand the impact that their efforts are having on serving clients and why each feature is important. Right? We could go all the way through the list. All you would have to do here is continue to move your way up the hero story by looking at each situation for medium-sized businesses, small enterprises, medium enterprises, large enterprises, right? Move up the stack so you can get into those different environments where you'll have different personas in play, right? Even if you decide you don't plan to serve all those levels, it's still very advantageous to map all these out. Because this way, everyone in your organization becomes very, very clear on why a particular hero level is inbounds or why they're out of bounds, right? You're not just knowing who you're going to serve and who you're not going to serve both add a ton of insight as you move forward. So let's return back to our story and see how we can support the fan. What you would do here is you go back to the hero levels, find the common memorable experiences that you can create for the key personas in your story. However, what's even more powerful is to first decide, what do you stand for? What movement will you want to champion for your audience and that they will want to readily join in on? To identify this, you have to understand what your founding principles are and how you want to serve your audience. Figure this out and really your memorable, lasting experience becomes much easier to identify. So for example, if our sales acceleration product, perhaps we want to stand for making an instant human connection through real-time video. The memorable experience that we may want to deliver here is really how amazed are our customers' prospects when they don't have to jump through chatbot hoops or wait days for scheduled meetings just to get one simple question answered. In this case, you can create hero experiences for your customers' prospects, your customers' sales representatives, your customers' sales managers, and even your customers' sales executives. Or perhaps you want to go a different way with your sales acceleration product. Maybe it's aimed at lowering costs of sales by automating customer acquisition, by giving your customers an option to find their very own answers at any time without having to talk to sales staff. For example, maybe it is an interactive video experience where your clients record videos, allowing your prospects to click through the buyer journey, picking the path that really makes sense for the experience that they need to have at their time, right? Meeting your customers where they're at. In this way, you're creating a memorable experience once again for the prospect of your customers. Being on camera, right? Building that know, like, and trust factors, and optimizing your customers' journeys, letting you focus on higher quality lead conversations when your prospects decide that they're ready for human contact. Right? Hero experiences again, customers, prospects, customer sales representatives, customer sales managers, customers, sales executives, right? The same set of hero experiences, but two completely different experiences that we're providing because the company founded on different principles. Now, with that foundation, you have new knowledge to apply in your business. Just remember to identify the hero levels, the transformation that's needed on each level of that, and then guide them through the transformational journey and support them through that. For the buyer, you need to ensure that you first and foremost build trust, presenting the buyer with a clear and compelling offer, and then catalyze their purchase to get them to commit to the purchase. Underlying all of that, identifying a shared movement that you can co-champion with your audience, providing them with a promotable, memorable experience. An experience that's unique to you and to your principles. Now, if you can use these three dimensions, and you will establish purposeful, human-centric business and being able to start developing your product excellence. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. I really hope you found that valuable. Now, if you want more cheat codes for product success, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so that you know when my next one drops. And don't forget to leave a comment or reach out to me at carverversuschaos.com to tell me exactly the type of topics that you would like to cover next. Till then, my friends, have fun and play well.